I want you to just get yourself comfortable now. And just sit down, plant your feet flat on the floor. Get nice and comfortable. And just look up, almost as if you're trying to look through a window in the top of your head. Just move your eyes up and take a deep breath in. And exhale through the mouth. And as you exhale, just let those eyes go closed. And just relax as your breathing returns to normal. As you breathe in and out, just notice how relaxed that helps you feel. And what I want you to do now, with your eyes closed, is I want you to welcome any feeling of grief from this breakup. Any feeling of loss, just welcome whatever that is. Apathy, grief, fear. Want any of those emotions that you're feeling that have been keeping you stuck. Just welcome that in. And as you welcome it, just notice what that feels like and where you feel it in your body. And just sit with it. Just allow it. There's no right or wrong. And maybe you're feeling anger. Welcome that in. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly natural. And just sit with it. And just notice that. And now I just want you to just put that down and just look away from that for a minute and welcome in any sense of courage that you can summon up, even if it's small. The courage to move on. The courage to live your best life. Like I said, even if it's just 1%, just welcome any sense of courage that you have to move on, to let go of this old relationship. And just notice how that feels. Notice what it's like to just allow yourself to feel any sense of courage that you can bring up. Notice where you feel it. Notice how different it feels compared to the heavy emotions that you're feeling. And when you welcome that courage, and you can feel that courage, even if it's small, even if it's just 1%, that's good. Just ask your heart to open. And maybe your heart needs to close, and that's fine. Sometimes the heart needs to close before it can open fully. Don't force anything, just allow it to do whatever it does. And just sit with that. And then ask your heart if it can open a little more, even just 1% more, and a little more, and a little more, and a little more, and a little more after that. And ask yourself if you can welcome any more courage. Just a little more, even 1%. A little more. A little more. A little more. Just notice that, feel that. And I want you to just set that aside and just look away from that for a minute. And I want you to look back at whatever the heavy emotions were, the apathy, the grief, the fear, that comes with the breakup, all of that was keeping you stuck. And just look at that and just notice that and welcome it in. And notice if it feels any different now. Maybe it feels a little lighter, not as heavy, not as sharp as it did before. And just notice that. And look away and look back at the courage and just notice that. And welcome in any more courage that you can summon in. The courage that it takes to look at the fear, to look at the grief. Welcome that in. Welcome that courage. If there's anger from the breakup that you were looking at, welcome the sense of courage that it takes to look at that anger and to allow that anger to reveal the fear that hides behind it, because there's always fear behind anger. And just welcome that and sit with that and notice that. That's right. And just notice how good that feels. Even if it's small. Just find that place where that courage comes in and it just feels so good. And welcome any sense of love that you have for yourself. The love that's inspiring you to take care of yourself, that's inspiring you to move on, to let go of this old relationship that's ended, that no longer serves you. And notice that you can still feel that love that you had for that relationship, for the experience that you had, but that doesn't mean that you have to hang on to it. That you can just let it go. And now, look back at the heavy stuff, at the apathy, grief, fear, anger that you were feeling that was keeping you stuck. Just notice how that feels now. Notice how much lighter that's become. As the courage and the love that you've welcomed in just seems to cause any of that heavy stuff that was sticking, just melt away, drift away, fade away. As that burden that you've been carrying just begins to let go. Just notice how much better, how much lighter that feels now. And I want you to just ask yourself if you can just let it go a little more. A little more. And a little more. And a little more after that. Just let it all go. Any of that grief, apathy, fear, guilt, shame, anger. Just let it go. Just ask your subconscious, can you just let it go a little more? And a little more. And a little more. And maybe your subconscious says, hell no, I can't let it go. And that's fine too. There's no right or wrong. Welcome that. Welcome any resistance that you have to letting go of that old relationship. And sit with that. And welcome that in. Welcome any sense of aversion that you have to letting go of that old relationship. Because we can't let go of something that we don't welcome. And just notice that. And notice that you are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. These are simply things that you experience. And they can pass by and change just like the weather. And it's okay for you to just let it go. Now I want you to put that down, any of that aversion a resistance, if it's still there. Any of that heavy stuff, just let it go and look back at the courage. Look back at the love and welcome that. Just ask if you can welcome in a little more, a little more, a little more. Welcome the courage that it takes to look at the resistance and to admit that to yourself. Because that takes courage. That takes love for yourself to do. Welcome that. And notice how that feels. And now look back at the aversion, the resistance, the fear, the grief. And now back to the courage and love. Look at that. And back to the anger, the fear, the resistance, letting go. And look back to the courage. And as you go back and forth between the courage and the resistance, notice how much lighter that begins to feel. Is that resistance to letting go of that old relationship just drifts away, fades away. And just ask your subconscious, can you just let it all go? All of it. Just let it all go. The resistance, the aversion, the fear, the grief, the guilt, the shame. Just let it go. Imagine it, a balloon in your hand filling up with all of that. And as all that fills, just imagine it drifting off, drifting away, fading away. And now look back at the courage and let that all go too. And just imagine any of that courage, any of that love for yourself just filling up in that balloon. And when that's full, just imagine it opening your hand and just letting it drift off. Because we need to let go of the courage of the love too, knowing that it'll come back as something better. And it's okay. You can just let go. And just watch those balloons just drift off to the horizon. Drifting away, fading away. And notice how that feels. And when you've done enough, and you've let go enough as you can, just coming back, open your eyes, and just feel so much lighter, so much better. And just know that you have what it takes to let go of that. You don't have to be held prisoner by your emotions. They simply inform you of what's going on. You get to make the choice. You get to step into courage and change that. And like I said, when you let go of something out of love, it's going to come back to you, and it's going to come back 100 times stronger, 100 times better.